What's up, sports fans? Brennan Hall, better known as B Hall, here live with you, coming to you from Columbus, Ohio for episode number 2 of Informed Risk Taking, whether you're at home or on the go. We greatly appreciate all the love from the views, listens, and downloads of episode 1 of IRT, along with helping us achieve 100 plus subscribers on YouTube, specifically 107 YouTube subscribers as of this moment here. We can't wait to make more content for you. And a friendly reminder, on this show, we do not gamble. We simply provide you the insight to take the best informed risks. So you can follow along for everything Delphi Sports on Twitter at Delphi Sports, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Delphi Sports and look us up on Spotify at Inform Risk Taking, where all of our videos and audio podcasts will be posted to help you take the best informed kind of risks. So today we'll be covering topics from the MMA, NBA, NHL, and a little PGA with all of our risk informants. So let's get started. UFC Vegas 21, along with NBA Thursday, the elite underdog out of the West in NHL, value on the ice, along with the PGA Players Championship coming up here soon. So let's get to it. Let's get right into the MMA.
Hey, how's it going, B-Hall?
Oh, my man, Liam, coming all the way from just outside New York City, the man, the myth, the legend, and UFC handicapper and MMA handicapper as well. Liam, obviously last week we had UFC 259. You had a pretty good weekend. Obviously, specifically want to go back to that Amanda Nunes where you literally called picture perfect. Your crystal ball is still 100% from the field, as I like to say sometimes too. But this upcoming week we got UFC Vegas 21. I know there are a couple ticket items you want to hit for that big ticket, especially 3 of them with the headliner, the co-main event, and then the underdog that you want to talk about a little bit here. So let's begin with that headliner. It's going to be Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad. Who do you have in terms of value, and then who do you have as your favorite moving forward?
So I think that in this matchup, I had initially leaned towards Leon Edwards. I think that given his layoff, which is about 2 years now since he's last fought in the octagon, I think that gives me a little pause to back Leon Edwards here. I think there might be some value on Belal Muhammad as he approaches plus 225 on the money line, but I haven't moved in on a wager for the main event yet. So I think that my early lean is that Leon Edwards should be a slight favorite, probably not this sizable a favorite. And so if there's value here, it may be a dog or pass situation.
All right, so that is going to be the headliner. It's going to be Edwards and Muhammad too. So we'll have to see where you come out to, obviously, since you haven't made a wager yet. But moving on, let's go to the co-main event. It's going to be Misha Cirkunov and Ryan Spann. Who do you like, and where's the value?
Absolutely. So I gave out a play on this fight, an early quick pick. Liam picks fights. I broke down the fact that this fight should go under 1.5 rounds. That's my expectation, and that's what I put a wager on. 1 unit at minus 125. The line has already moved in my favor. It's up to minus 140. I expect it to continue to climb. And the reason being is because we have 2 light heavyweight finishers here in Spann and Cirkunov. Both of these guys are sort of kill or be killed in terms of their style. You've seen Ryan Spann knocked out several times in his UFC stint, including his most recent outing against Johnny Walker. Those have all come under 1.5 rounds. We've also seen Ryan Spann was submitted in, I believe it was LFA. So Ryan Spann is capable of being finished in this fight. I believe that Misha Cirkunov is the more talented guy. I think he's taking a step down in competition here. So I expect Misha Cirkunov to roll, but I'm really confident in the under 1.5 as my spot for this fight. But I am going to be playing 1 unit on Misha Cirkunov money line. And then I have 2 small degenerate prop plays on 0.25 units on Misha Cirkunov by knockout at plus 500 and Misha Cirkunov by knockout in round 1 at plus 1,000. And the reason I took that is because we've seen Ryan Spann get knocked out in the first round several times, including his last outing. And I think he's getting a step up in competition after a loss. So I really believe that there might be value there on Misha Cirkunov by knockout. I think the narrative around this fight is that Misha Cirkunov is going to submit Ryan Spann, which I think is possible, but Ryan Spann has only been submitted once in about 25 or 26 professional fights, which is pretty good. He has most of his career wins by submission. So I feel that Ryan Spann will be more difficult to submit, but I feel like he is live to be knocked out in this fight. I like Misha Cirkunov's ability to do so.
I'm really curious to see how those degenerate prop bets come off too, obviously. I mean, here's the thing. Embrace the degenerate, my friend, all right? They call you Liam Picks Fights for a reason. You got to live up to it. I got to go full degenerate. So, and then last but not least, we'll pull out the crystal ball for this one. Like I said last week, your Amanda Nunes pick was pretty perfect. And there's another underdog play here, Angela Hill and Ashley Yoder. What can you tell me about that fight?
So I would temper expectations on this one just a tiny bit, and I'd say I don't line this fight as Ashley Yoder as the favorite. Okay, I think that Angela Hill is the deserving favorite for this fight. I think that she wins this fight greater than 50% of the time. However, the current line is insane to me with Angela Hill up to minus 400. That's an 80% indication. Granted, the red flag on Ashley Yoder is that she fought Angela Hill once before and she lost, but that was in 2017. Ashley Yoder is the younger fighter. She's 33 compared to Angela Hill, who's going to be 37 at fight time. So we got a 4-year age gap. Ashley Yoder has the better grappling, in my opinion. I believe that she will have a path to victory should this fight hit the mat. I think that she's capable of submitting Angela Hill. She has 4 career wins by armbar submission. Not to say that she could armbar Angela Hill, but I think that if she gets on her back, she might be able to get a rear naked choke sank in. And I think that Angela Hill has a propensity for losing split decisions in the UFC. We've already seen that in her most recent outings. And in addition, I believe she's 6-7 as a favorite in her UFC run. She's not a profitable favorite. I can't believe that she's being steamed up to minus 400. Last time that they were scheduled to fight a month prior, it was minus 350. Now she's up to minus 400. I took a stab on Ashley Yoder then at plus 300. I think there's even more value now at plus 330. If that line keeps moving, plus 350, I think that there's a ton of value. I think I'm getting about a 13 to 16% edge on the books right now where I line this fight versus where the market price is. So I'm going to take that stab every time. Whether or not it wins or loses, I think that there's a value play on Ashley Yoder at plus 330 against Angela Hill this weekend.
Yeah, no big deal. Just your crystal ball you're only going to worry about, too. That's going to be on the line, too, with all these prop bets. And he's Liam Picks Fights. Follow him on Twitter at Liam Picks Fights, too. Liam, appreciate the time as always, buddy. We'll talk to you here soon.
Thanks. Happy to be here, B-Hall. And everybody check out Liam Picks Fights. It's going to be 6 p.m. on Friday. You guys are not going to want to miss that. I'm going to be breaking down my full slate of action for the card. Hopefully, I'll have a wager decided for the main event by then. But if not, I hope that you guys tune in. Stick around, hear my action. That's going to be 6 p.m. on Friday. Liam Picks Fights.
And now we head to the NBA and the hardwood. We're going to talk to the commish, who's going to talk everything National Basketball Association here. Commish, what's going on?
Hey, Belal, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you again, too, my friend. Obviously, with what's moving forward, too, the second half is underway. And let's get into the whole thick of it, too. Got a couple games you like moving forward. First and foremost, Minnesota Timberwolves and the New Orleans Pelicans, too. Both teams aren't doing so hot, specifically the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Anthony Edwards, the number 1 overall pick, is doing okay. They're also been battling some injury moving forward, especially with D'Angelo Russell with his knee surgery that he had almost recently. And then when Karl Anthony Towns, when he's in the lineup, has been a stud. Since then, he has been averaging a double-double, 23 and 11, but he's also been in and out of the lineup because of injury and also due to COVID as well, in and of itself. But on the flip side, too, with the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson being Zion Williamson, averaging just under double-double, 26.7 boards. And then you also have a couple other guys like Lonzo Ball is leading the team in assists, and he also is leading the team in three-point percentage too. Between these Timberwolves and the Pelicans, Nick, where's the value and who do you like in the game?
Yeah, so these two teams played on January 23rd, and the Pelicans were actually big underdogs in that game as well. They opened as minus 8.5 in this game. I think that's outrageous for a team that's 15-21. They were about the same spread the first time around, and Minnesota actually won that game outright, 120-110. However, that's one of the few games this year that Minnesota's actually been able to cover the spread. They've been pretty abysmal. I'd maybe put a lean on that game going to Minnesota just again because New Orleans is not, in my opinion, worthy of an 8.5-point spread. Where I see the real value in this game is the over 238. New Orleans has been an over machine as of late. They brought Stan Van Gundy in to play defense. They've gotten significantly worse on the defensive end of the floor this year. They're bottom 5 in almost every defensive metric. Minnesota doesn't know anything about defense either. They probably couldn't guard empty shoes. I like the over 238 in this game. 240, it's not a given in the NBA today, but there's just not anything to like defensively on either one of these teams. And the Pelicans, as you mentioned, Zion Williamson, Lonzo Ball's coming to life as of late. There's a lot of offense to like in this game, not any defense to speak of whatsoever.
Boy, you got handicapping and you got jokes. I love both of them. All right, so between the Pelicans and Timberwolves, that's that. Now moving on to another game, too, that's a little bit better in terms of moving over to the Western Conference. It's going to be Golden State and the LA Clippers. Golden State just over 500, 19-18, and the LA Clippers 10 games over 500 too. The Warriors are not the same Warriors that we've seen as of late, ever since they kind of disbanded their whole core. You know, Klay Thompson's out with injury. He had a torn ACL last year. This year he tore his Achilles in his rehab. And then Steph Curry's been a stud. He's averaging 30 points per game. But ever since then, or outside of Steph Curry, there's really not really been too much production for the rest of the team. James Wiseman's in his rookie year. He's been okay. He's been a decent big man who's a rookie. And then on the flip side, the Clippers are playing up to expectation, at least in my book. They're the top 5 team in the West, obviously behind the Jazz and the Lakers, I believe, last time I checked the standings here. And, Ty Lue seems to be coming into his role as a head coach for the Clippers. Paul George seemed to run his mouth, at least chirp a lot, at the beginning of the season. He's kind of quieted down, and, Kawhi Leonard is the claw and the silent killer, if you will, too, who's the real assassin in the NBA, too. But I digress. Golden State Warriors, LA Clippers, where's the value? Who you like?
So I have a small lean towards Golden State on the spread here, plus 7.5. I was a little bit surprised to see them open as that big of an underdog. They definitely slumped into the All-Star break, that's for sure. They had a road trip that took them all over the country. They started down in Orlando. They went to Charlotte, New York, Indy, all the way back to the West Coast to play the Lakers, and then Portland and Phoenix. They rested Draymond and Steph Curry that last game before the break against Phoenix. They lost by 22. That might be part of the reason that this line is so big. I don't know. The Clippers have been solid this year, but they haven't blown anybody away. They've had some bigger wins, but they have been inconsistent. They lost to Washington just before the break. In this game, though, I do think where there's more value is on the under. I do. Golden State, they're top 5 in defensive efficiency. The Clippers, they have all these offensive weapons that you're talking about with Paul George, with Kawhi Leonard. They don't seem to run their offense the way that I want to. Every time I watch their game, they play at a really slow pace. They're good in the half court, but I just don't understand. They're the number 1 3-point shooting team in the NBA, and they shoot the 17th most 3-pointers. It doesn't make much sense to me. So again, on this, I like the under. I probably put a lean on Golden State plus 7.5. That's probably where I have the value on here.
All right, again, so that's Warriors and Clippers. And last but not least, one last game I know we were talking about previously is going to be the Houston Rockets and the Utah Jazz. Tale of 2 different seasons for both of these squads. Houston is an abysmal 11-23. They've lost their last 10. They're 0-10 their last 10. They've lost their last 12 or 13 games, I believe. And the Utah Jazz are just on fire, sizzling at 27-9, best team in the Western Conference and probably the NBA. It's almost mind-boggling to see what happened to Houston, but also understandable once James Harden was traded over to Brooklyn. And Donovan Mitchell's been a stud too. So again, where's the value? Who do you like between the Jazz and the Rockets? I think it's a pretty easy question for you.
Yeah, I'm going to exaggerate here. I'd probably take Utah to minus 50 on this game, and I am exaggerating, but they've won 15 in a row at home. They did lose 3 out of 4 heading into the break, but they're all on the road. Not a big deal in my opinion at all. This is the team that I think the Clippers could be if they ran their offense a little bit more. Utah, they take the most 3-pointers of any team in the NBA. They shoot the 3rd best percentage of any team in the NBA. The Clippers offense, I think, could be on par with the Jazz if they wanted to. So again, I like Utah to cover the spread in this game. I don't have much value on the total because I just hate betting totals when there's going to be so much garbage time. I think there's just too much volatility in that sense. The other play that I do like with Utah, sportsbooks right now, they have them plus 430, plus 450, depending on where you're looking to win the Western Conference. I don't understand it. This is by far the best team in the Western Conference right now. They're the only team in the NBA that's top 5 on offense and defense in terms of efficiency per 100 possessions. They take smart shots. They have no shortages of studs. Like you said, Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell in the starting lineup alongside Rudy Gobert. Fantastic. They got Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. He looks like an all-star. I mean, he's definitely going to win the 6th man of the year. This is a really, really good team. I like him a lot. Again, I'll probably stay away from the total on this game, but if you can get him plus 430 or plus 450 to win the Western Conference, I think there's a very good chance that they're at least in the Western Conference Finals. And at that point, you could for sure hedge that bet and then turn it into a for sure profit no matter who they're playing.
I'd be really curious to see if they're actually going to live up to expectation and do indeed get to Western Conference Finals. We'll see if the LA Lakers can get healthy and get Anthony Davis here back too. Going to be a wild finish probably out in the West. Again, Kamish, appreciate the time as always. Talk everything basketball with you. We'll talk to you again soon here.
Awesome. Thanks, B-Hall.
And last but not certainly least is Justin Spansky, our NHL handicapper. Justin, what's going on, dude?
Not bad, B-Hall. Hey, I didn't know IRT was turned into a bit of a comedy show here. Nick bringing out the jokes here.
Yeah, he's a comedian, isn't he? He's just hilarious too. Maybe he should stick to his regular day job and be an NBA handicapper. But
Good
I
point.
digress. That's for he and I to go into another day. So let's get into the NHL. A game that you had tab to watch was going to be the Winnipeg Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Final result: Jets 4, Maple Leafs 3. Let's go back into revisiting that ball game.
Yeah, certainly. My pick for that was the under. We did get a flat 6 on that. Toronto has been trending towards the under lately. Wish we could have gotten the 6.5. However, though, total did go over Toronto with a late goal to bring it within 1. But I also did have a slight lean on Winnipeg there, so it was nice to pick up a nice road win there on some plus money.
I'd be interested to see who comes out of that North Division 2 in the Canadian League too, just because of all the history and of the sport in Canada and everything like that too. I think it's really cool. Hopefully they do keep that North Division the same too. I know you and I have talked about that before, but got a couple other games here coming up this weekend. More specifically out west, going to be San Jose Sharks, Anaheim Ducks. Both teams are having okay seasons, not the best. I mean, the Sharks 9-11-3 overall, and the Ducks are 8-12-6. Both teams' last 10 have been okay. The Sharks a little bit more consistent their llast 10. They're 4-4-2, whereas the Anaheim Ducks not so much. They're 2-5-3. Both teams out of the West Division 2, so this is going to be a decent game between two teams. And, where's the value and who do you think is going to come out on top two in this sub 500 game?
Well, if you're looking for excitement and two great teams, hate to break it to you, this is not the game. But I do like this game in terms of the betting value. As you did mention, both teams really down this year and inconsistent as of late. Anaheim 7th in the West right now, currently 8-12-6, 22 points. And San Jose just a point back of them at 9-11-3 to round out the West. I do like Anaheim in this game on the side play, but I really want to emphasize the under 5.5 here. Anaheim 2.31 goals per game and San Jose 2.7 goals per game. To go into Anaheim a little bit, really struggled for offense, but I do think they have shown a little more promise since they called up Trevor Zegras, the young stud, who they drafted 2 years ago in the first round out of Boston University and the United States National Team Development Program. Had a phenomenal World Juniors, 18 points, led the tournament en route to the U.S., getting a gold medal win there over Canada. Only 7 games up with the big club, 2 assists, still looking for that first true NHL goal. But I do think they are in better form with him. And going over to San Jose on the other side, Erik Karlsson, only 8 points in 19 games. The goaltending has been a little suspect. Devin Dubnyk and Martin Jones. Dubnyk with a 3.34 goals against average. Jones 3.84 goals against average. However, though, I do think it's going to be sort of a defensive struggle match, and both teams are struggling to find that offensive game as of late. John Gibson is probably going to be in net for Anaheim, I would assume. If not, Ryan Miller, the backup, would be their longtime NHL journeyman goaltender. But I still really do like the under there, especially if Gibson is in net.
All right, so that'll be the Sharks and the Ducks too. That game, are those couple games going to be going on over the weekend? And then another game we had tabbed as well coming up this weekend are going to be coming out of the Central Division, going to be the Florida Panthers and going to be the Chicago Blackhawks as well. Both teams looking pretty decent right now. Panthers coming off a big win the other day against the Blue Jackets. They're also going to finish up their series with the Blue Jackets before they do head over and play Chicago. Chicago, on the other hand, too, looking pretty decent in that Central Division. Both teams over 500. Panthers 16-5-4, and then Blackhawks 13-8-5. So moving forward, who do you have and why?
My pick here is going to be Florida, but that's nothing to take away from Chicago. Chicago, I don't think anybody, including myself, expected them to be in this spot this year. Offseason, Stan Bowman made a lot of trades. Their general manager really actually upset a lot of their core players. Jonathan Toews, the captain, Patrick Kane, who, mind you, just played his 1,000th game. Big tip of the cap to him. In my opinion, the greatest American player of all time, as well as Duncan Keith, their longtime defenseman. But they have had a really great season, and it all starts with Kane. 38 points, second league. In my opinion, the favorite to win the Hart Trophy right now. Alex DeBrincat also had a nice bounce-back season, 28 points. He is 10th in the league right now in points. But Florida, 16-5-4, third in the Central Division, and they really only seem to be climbing here. Starts with Jonathan Huberdeau up front, 30 points, 7th in the league. Also, Alexander Barkov had a great season as well. Aaron Ekblad really been solid on the back end as well. And also speaking of the back end, we're going to go with the goaltending position here. Chris Driedger, 7-3-2, 2.4 goals against average. Now you want a stat? I have a stat for you.
Love
Chris
stats.
Driedger's cap hit this year, only $850K. And he is the backup. Sergei Bobrovsky, who they signed 2 off seasons ago, coming over from Columbus, probably the marquee signing in terms of goaltending for free agency. He is making $10 million this year. What a huge difference. But I love Driedger. Even if Bobrovsky gets the start here, I really like Florida to continue the momentum going here, and I like them to get a win at home over Chicago.
All right, again, so that'll be Florida Panthers and Chicago Blackhawks. Again, that's been the NHL side, but we do have a little bit of a preview moving forward as well, sticking with Justin here. And that preview is the PGA. Going to be the Players' Championship coming up here real quick. Only got a couple points here as we're up against it here, Justin, with you. But who do you like as a favorite early for the Players' Championship?
Well, to begin, I mean, you rewind a year ago and look at where we are now. Players' Championship canceled after Friday. Only one round got in, but truly just a phenomenal golf course. And I think this is really one of the players' favorites courses to play at. Just a beautiful, picturesque golf course. Probably the most, in my opinion, in the U.S. other than Augusta. But I really like Xander Schauffele here in this spot. Right now, he's plus 2,000 to win. And top 10, I really want to emphasize on him here, plus 225. Number 4 in the FedEx Cup rankings and number 5 in the World Golf rankings. Did not play last weekend at the Arnold Palmer Invite. Week before, played at the WGC Workday Championship. Tied for 39th, only 1 under. However, though, 5 top 5 finishes so far on the 2021 tour. I really like Xander to come back here this weekend and make a big statement with a top 10.
So that is going to be your early favorite moving forward. What other matchups are you looking forward to for the Players' Championship?
2 really good matchups I like here. I really like Tommy Fleetwood, minus 120 over Adam Scott. He had a really nice showing last week at the Arnold Palmer Invite. Tied for 10th, 3 under. He shot a 77 on the back end, so disappointing for him. However, though, he has had some familiarity here at this course, and he's really shown up nice. Finished 7th and 5th. I really like his game with the irons. I do think Tommy Fleetwood is going to continue the success that he had last weekend, also in Florida at the Arnold Palmer Invite, and I like this matchup here over Adam Scott.
So you did mention the Masters before here. Masters are just under a month away now, if it's hard to believe. I mean, the last time we were talking about it was back in, the fall, but, spring forward a couple months, and it's back in April down in Augusta, Georgia, too. So it's going to be a good one for the Masters and obviously the Players' Championship, too. Justin, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you again soon here.
Awesome, B-Hall. Thank you. Appreciate it as always.
Yes, sir. All right, well, that's all the time we have for Delphi Sports Informed Risk-Taking Show, episode number 2. We thank you very much for tuning in, whether it's on Spotify, YouTube, or also following along on Twitter as well. So you can follow everybody on Twitter. First and foremost, Delphi Sports at Delphi Sports, also Delphi Sports IRT. You can also follow Liam specifically at Liam Picks Fights. And you also can tune in for the next IRT show is going to be Monday at 9 a.m. And then Liam Picks Fights show is going to be up here on Friday at 6. Again, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Delphi Sports. Give us a like and a follow on Spotify at Informed Risk Taking, and then give us a follow on Twitter as well at Delphi Sports and Delphi Sports IRT. So for everybody here, for the commish, for Justin, and for Liam, I'm B. Hall saying so long until next time, folks. We'll talk again soon, and make sure to take the best informed risk.